Yeah.
This industry doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And that's one of the fun things that we're constantly learning and changing. You know, if you're doing the same makeup look you did 5 years ago, it's out of style now.
Welcome to Set Life, where we tell stories from our industry. I'm Kelly Leger, and this is Amber Buteau.
Welcome to Set Life. We're here at For the One Studio on Soundstage 1. And we have a special guest with us today that is local here in Houston, doing amazing things, not just here in Houston, but kind of all in the South region, really. Mm-hmm. But welcome to the show, Victoria Callaway.
Thank you very much. So happy to be here with you.
Yes.
You both.
Yeah, so tell our audience, because I love what you do, tell our audience, what is it that you do in the industry?
So I own a hair and makeup artist agency based in Houston, and I cover the southern U.S. We do film, commercial, video, special appearances, house calls for dignitary type, but anything in front of the camera is what we do, and we will represent hair, makeup, wardrobe, manicurist, barbers. So it's like the full glam.
Wow.
So if you need glam, we have it for you.
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
And you guys are, like she said, you're all throughout the South.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Love it. Love it. Well, you know, hey, New York's got their guys, LA's got their guys, and there's a lot going on in the South.
Yeah, there is. And it's an untapped market.
Yes.
You know, I'm the only agency in Houston.
Wow.
And in the state of Texas, I don't know if I think there might be one other agency that specializes in hair and makeup, but it's kind of, you know, when you find that little niche that you need to be into, you know, just run to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Run and play.
Yeah. One of the stories that you were telling us that I thought was so fascinating was how attention to detail that you run your agency and the ability to reach out and grow at all times. And you had a rug shoot and you had to go and get body art. Tell us the story. It was so
we don't have a call often for body artist.
Yeah.
So a rug company came to us, they were doing a campaign, and they wanted the models to blend into the rugs. So I had to find incredibly creative body artists that were able to paint.
Wow.
And multicolor, multi-design. It was really amazing. So you would kind of see the models, but you really saw the whole picture of the rug. And so I interviewed, and we found 4 fantastic body artists. I flew one in from Connecticut, and the others I found locally, and they did an incredible job.
Wow.
But we get requests for some kind of crazy things once in a while. You know, it's not always like, oh, you have this commercial, you know, we're going to book you and your makeup artist will show up. In 2 days, I have a job where there is a European man flying in to this area, and he wants a makeup artist to meet him at his private airport and to touch him up before he goes on to his photo shoot.
Yeah.
So very wealthy individual.
Yeah.
And that's what's exciting about the business. You never know what's going to happen. Every phone call we get for every booking, you know, it could be a political job. We do a ton of political spots, you know, during the political season. So we work from anywhere from presidents, vice presidents, secretary of states to the local level. And we've been associated working with different political consultants out of DC, some out of Austin, some in Houston, that will call us for all their political stuff. And to me, as a makeup artist, that's like one of my favorite things to do. I love politicians.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, they're usually just very family, wonderful people that just, you know, you love being around.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's the part that I always see. But I love working with politicians.
Wow. That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. I also love in our talks that we got to have together how attention to detail you are in running your agency, how you train, the culture that you set as an agency, the expectation for all of your artists that you lay out. So you definitely know the professionalism that you're going to get when you call your agency.
Yeah.
Talk us through a little bit of that. What started that foundation for you and made that so important to you to infuse that into the culture that you're raising up?
So I came from the retail side of makeup. I worked as a national artist, so I worked in a different city every single week. And the ability to be able to adapt to different people, not only just reading the body language, but the tone of the voice, the cadence of the voice, being able to work with people like that. And as a makeup artist, we have a very short time to make a first impression. So the artists that work with our agency are always very well groomed. They will show up with makeup on, which not all artists wear makeup, and I don't understand that, but they will have makeup on. Their kit has to be impeccable. It has to be organized. It has to be labeled. It has to be clean and tidy at all times, because that's your calling card. If somebody walks by your makeup station, they look at you, and then they look at the makeup kit like, oh, look at all that stuff you have in there, you know? So that
People
is,
notice all that.
oh,
stuff.
sometimes you don't get a call back because you had a disastrous makeup kit. And everything else went great, but whoever's sitting in your chair is like, their kit's not clean, and I don't want it touching my face. So I really am very adamant about a clean, organized kit. You have to be early. You can't be late. You have to be, if your call time's 8 a.m., you have to be there, set up and ready to go at 8 a.m. You don't roll up and go have breakfast. You have to go to work, because if hair and makeup is late, it throws the entire shoot off. You have to be punctual. And I'm really, really, those are non-negotiables for me with the agency. And you know, and it's like when I meet prospective artists, there's a certain spirit that I look for, you know, that they have warmth. They'll be able to make anybody feel comfortable, because not everybody's professionals that sit in our chair. So they need to have that kindness and that warmth and integrity. And, you know, be a team player, because we have a lot of jobs where we book multiple artists. We can have a job where we book 10 to 15 artists in a day, or 2 or 3. So you all have to play well together. You know, and it's not about you being the superstar. Sometimes people don't really understand that. I mean, you can take behind the scenes photos and, you know, post it, but who needs to be the one that's shining is the one in front of the camera.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know, it's a different mindset about it, but it really has worked for us and made us very successful.
You know, and you've talked about, you know, how, I guess the way I had put it is, you know, what you understand what you're doing, your specific job, but also how it serves the whole. And that's a big deal. How do you prepare for that? Like, you know, for me, when you've told me about how you prepare your artist, how you prepare as an artist, it's so different than what I'm used to in production. Everybody's very specialized. Everybody has their thing in the machine. But sometimes, a lot of times, they don't know the whole. They don't know what's going on as a whole. And you and your guys are different than that.
Well, you know what? We all have to research who's on camera. Sometimes we'll research the directors, the photographers who we're working with, but you need to know something about who's sitting in your chair. And not only does that allow you to connect with them, but it also, you have a better understanding of that person and kind of where they're coming from. And, you know, if they're having a bad day and you know that they're going through a bad divorce or something that you could kind of gather on your research. I mean, you know that you have to treat some people with kit gloves. And it's just, it makes us more useful as a makeup artist, because a lot of our job is babysitting. Not only do we have to make them look good, feel good, but we have to make them comfortable. And I always say, when somebody sits in your chair and before they stand in front of the camera, they have to think they feel the best they've ever felt. They look good. You know, we have a little glass of water on the side with our straw. We have everything waiting to accommodate them. So it's really about getting ready for each job and not just showing up like, oh, who are we doing today? You know, we prepare for that.
That's so good.
You know, we get any information, because it's in situation after situation, it's always come in handy where you needed to know something. There was a photographer I did that I worked with in Sports Illustrated. He was not really nice. He was very gruff. And I looked him up. I looked at his Instagram before I went on set. And when I was working, I'm like, oh, I love the photos of your kitties on your Instagram. And he's like, oh, my little kitties, I love my kitties. You know, you're like, really? This 300-pound man just melted because you talked about his cats. You know, but it's all part of that connection. And that's really what our job is connect not only us and the crew and the talent and becoming friends with them for a period of time. You know, that's our job.
If everybody took that much care in all facets of our industry, oh my gosh, it'd be totally different.
Yeah.
We're big on that around here, though.
We are.
Well, you have to. You know
Yeah.
what? You don't do what's just in your job description unless it's a union job and you can't step over the bounds. But you have to go above and beyond.
do.
If PAs are folding up chairs, after lunch, if you're doing nothing, go help them.
Come on.
Yeah.
Pick up trash. Bring water to the crew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bring snacks, bring cookies, whatever, and you just have to do a little bit more than what's required. And I think that's one of the reasons also that we get called again and again, because you team players with the
Yes.
entire team.
That goes so far. People
It
notice
does.
all that.
It does, and I think that's kind of a thread we have actually talked about quite a few times here on the show, whether that's in camera op, hair and makeup, whether it's gaffing, wherever a PA for the job, adding value to a set has you coming back.
It does.
100%.
Taking away from the set has you never going back.
Correct.
So what I hear that you infuse in your culture of your agency is teaching people how to add value
Right.
and develop relationships while doing a job that with a professional manner and excellence.
Yes, always professional.
Mhm.
Don't step over the lines,
Mhm.
But there are so many hair and makeup artists out there. So you have to have something extra.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people that come into our agency, interns that we're working with. It's you have to be added value to them.
Yeah.
You have to present and do things that they didn't think, oh, well, I didn't know that makeup artists, brought muffins in the morning, for the
Yeah.
crew when there's no craft service. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
But we
Wow.
get called back because you go above and beyond.
Mhm.
And it's a very small family that we
Mhm.
all work in.
Yes.
You see the same people, and then you have the ability as a freelancer, somebody working in this industry, if you don't really like somebody, you can always, I'm so sorry, I'm not available, darn it.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
that we do that very often, but you pick your
happens.
people.
Yep.
You do.
You pick your
Yeah.
people that you want to work with, you want to hang with. And sometimes you see them a whole lot more than you see your spouses or your partners.
Yeah.
So you have to have like-minded people around you. And when they continue to grow up in the industry, you go with them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So we talk a lot of stories around here. Give me something crazy. Give me some of the craziest stories,
Yeah.
something that comes to your mind that's wild.
So I had been in the film business, I don't know how many, 10 years or something, I'm not sure. But I got a call to work with President Clinton. And very nervous about it. I was with the team, but I was the one that was
Yeah.
working directly with him. So as we arrive, Secret Service goes through your entire kit. Like they take everything apart and look at everything in your kit to go through it.
That sounds like a nightmare to me.
Well, you know what? But they put it back in place, just like going through the airport security. I don't know how they do it, but it's all back in place. And so we sat and waited because he was always late. And he finally arrived. He was kind and gracious to everyone. He sat in my chair and I put a few drops of makeup in the airbrush gun and I turn on my compressor. So here this makeup artist has a gun pointing at the President of the United States and Secret Service says, "Stop. What's that noise? Oh my God, what's going on?" I'm like, "It's not dangerous. It's only makeup." And I sprayed on the tissue. I'm like, "Look, it's airbrush makeup." I mean, the Secret Service almost took me down.
Because you pointed a gun at the president.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a story.
But you know what? He was absolutely lovely. And then once they figured out it was non-dangerous,
Yes.
then he's like, "Ooh, I like the airbrush,"
If
Yeah.
you did a blog post or social media post that says, "The time I pointed a gun at the president," I would read that.
man.
I'm just saying.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
God.
And there was another time when I was shooting at a smaller Texas TV station, and we did a reality TV show about alligators and crocodiles. And if you go out to your backyard and there's an alligator in your swimming pool, you call this rescue
Oh.
kind of
Okay.
place that they had. So they brought the alligators to the TV station, kept them in big trailers in the back. And when we first started, there was a little baby alligator that the producer was holding. So she was on camera. So I went over there and I started to adjust her collar. And she's like, "Watch out, you're in the danger zone." She said, "The little alligator can bite you hard." And I'm like, "Okay." So I kind of backed up. Well, a few minutes after that, her phone rang and she looks at me to try to hand me the little baby alligator. "Here, I need to catch that." I'm like, "Oh no, I need all my digits." No, I'm not doing that. So then she handed it to one of the alligator people.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing their makeup and they're like, this makeup stinks. I don't like the smell of this makeup. I'm like, dude, the entire TV station smells like a swamp. And you're saying my makeup stinks?
You're the one holding the alligator.
I know.
Oh.
So at the end of the day, they bring in Big Bertha. She's the largest of the alligators. They bring her into the TV station to film her. She's 8 feet long. They all have tape around their mouths, so they can't bite you, but it's the tail you have to watch out. So while Big Bertha's in the back in the trailer behind the TV station, she's like hitting stuff. So she's got scratches on her nose. And the director looks at me and said, can you touch it up? I'm like, you want me to do makeup on an alligator?
The nose of the alligator?
Yeah. He's like, can't you touch it up? And I'm like, okay. So I take my airbrush, I mix the colors, and because the airbrush, you can customize everything, I airbrush the alligator.
Yes.
And I'm like at very long arm's length, like, okay, this
that
is one.
deserves a high five.
This is
My
That's, I'm like, first and only time
my
I will ever do
gosh.
makeup on an alligator.
Airbrush an alligator.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know many people who have that on their credit. That's got to go on the resume.
Put a gun at the president,
Oh,
airbrush
oh
an
my
alligator, all in the
You
same.
know what? Who said our job is boring?
Oh my goodness. There's no doubt. God. Okay, so you have tons of experience clearly here. So somebody who wants to get into this industry, maybe has a propensity for makeup, love, style, fashion, they want to do this. Like, where do they start? Where does that even where do they even begin in this thing?
So with social media these days, it's very easy. And, you know, you have your walking computer in your hand with your phone. Start practicing. Practice on anybody, everybody that will let you. Start document it. Looking at the photos that you've done of all the makeup and hair and find out what you like and what you don't like. And you start honing in on your craft. Then you need to start testing. You need to do tests with models, with hairstylists, with wardrobe stylists, photographers. You all collaboratively get together, you do photos, and then at the end, all of you get free pics.
Yeah.
And you
Wow,
can start
great.
using that to build your resume, to build your reel and your portfolio. So it's all about really doing a nice mix of work, because when I look to sign an artist, I'll look at the soft, natural, no makeup,
Right.
very clean beauty. But I also want to see that they have the ability to do a full glam. And I also want to see that they have that creativeness about them, but with control, because sometimes it's not really what we want, it's what the director wants,
Right.
or the talent will request or something. But so you need to have those creative juices. But if you get in there and start testing, it gets you familiar with working on set. It gets you familiar working with somebody else. And you can have input because you're all doing it for free. And I even tell seasoned artists, they need to continue to test, because you have a great idea. You can actually produce that yourself.
Yeah.
And that gives you experience in another realm of our industry, is producing,
Right.
putting everything together, you know, all of it.
Wow.
So also intern with somebody, find great makeup artists that you like their work, ask to intern with them or assist them, but make sure that when you do assist them, that you go in with the best intentions and you are shadowing them. You're not asking a lot of questions why they're doing makeup, because they're working.
Yeah.
You can ask them afterwards, you know, after the shoot is over. Don't walk around, pass out your business cards. You're with the key makeup artist, the key hairstylist. It's something sometimes people don't think about. Oh, I'll just like get to know everybody. Well, if they want to get to know you, they should go through who hired you.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't do those things. But you have to be kind. You have to be gracious. You never know if a PA today is going to be a producer in 2 years.
That's true.
And they
so
will
true.
hire you.
Yep.
So true.
So don't be abusive to anybody.
Yes.
You know, be kind to everybody and be gracious and just have nice manners, you know. And it's just such a fun industry.
Yeah.
But you have to find out too where you want to land,
Right.
Yeah.
because there's so many different avenues in the glam department. So some people are really amazing at creating like hats with hair. You know, that's not probably the same person that could do a lifestyle for an Adidas that does a simple ponytail.
Yeah.
They want those creative juices. They want to be known. So they would be better in New York or LA where there's more print work, where there's a lot more high fashion, doing the fashion shows, things like that.
Right.
Houston, Texas may not be the place for them.
Right.
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 So,
Yeah.
but the great thing about being in a smaller market is we get so much experience
Yeah.
because we have, there's a lot of us out there.
Yeah.
But I think the, same will work quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we do music videos, we do live events, we'll do sporting events. I've booked artists on the Super Bowls, World Series, all kinds of huge events like that. We do commercials. That's our bread and butter is commercials.
Sure.
So that's all clean, natural lifestyle, very pretty
Yes.
makeup. We'll do some editorial that might be a little more demanding. We do a limited amount of special effects. If you want to be a special effects artist, this is probably not the market because I only get called for that maybe once a year.
Right.
So it's not something that we do often.
Real niche.
It really is. And in order to make a living, you have to really be able to find something
Right.
that you love doing, that you love the people, that you make the connections, and then you're able to prosper. And for a long time too, I tell everybody, you need to have a little bit of a side hustle. Our business is seasonal.
Yeah.
In the summertime, we don't work as much.
Yeah.
We're busy fall all the way, to early summer. But in the summertime is when everybody's taking vacations. So the advertising agencies, the producers, the directors, they're traveling with their families or with partners or spouses. And so we're not working as much. So you need to do something.
Yeah.
Maybe you do weddings, maybe you do proms, maybe you do something else on weekends because we don't book as many jobs on weekends, but maybe you have another source of income. And one of the things that I think is really, really important because we do have a seasonal industry, I think it's really important for the glam department to be able to budget their money. Because if you go a month without working, and you get a call that celebrities coming in, but they need for you to run to Sephora and pick up 3 of their products they have to have. If you don't have the cash in the bank, you can't do the job.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have money for an Uber to get to a job or something that happens, you always have to be able to budget so you're available to do things when called upon.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think all of those are, what I love talking to you so much about is you turn being a makeup artist into a business, whether you're running an agency or you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Being able to teach the whole thing. That's what sustains people in this industry.
Yeah.
You have to look at it as, even if you're a freelancer, it's a business.
It is a business.
So professionalism has to be there.
Yeah.
All the same things that you would put into any other industry or position, you have to do in this one. And I think we as a whole could do better at that as an industry.
Yeah.
And so I love your heart for cultivating a culture of that in your agency.
So I hired a business coach 11 years ago when I started the agency, and we went from 3 artists to 12 artists in 1 year with her help. And she taught me how to run the business. And it's really important that if you're a freelancer or if you're working with an agency or whatever position you're in, you need to get your paperwork in on time.
Yeah.
You need to send out deal memos. You need to have contracts. The DPs don't show up without a contract. So why should a makeup artist?
Right.
Yep.
I've had things happen where I booked 4 makeup artists for a large convention. They all get there. There's no place to set them up. So they send 3 of them home. And it was a 5-day job.
Oh my gosh.
Because I had a deal memo, I got all my money.
Wow.
Because I paid them.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are kind of things that happen.
Yeah.
And a contract is so important. And just really, if you don't know something, learn it.
Yeah.
Right.
Be curious.
Right.
Ask questions.
Yep.
Ask somebody else that's been in the business that you respect how they run their business. Take a class. If you're not great on the computer, go to the public library. Learn how to work on a computer. Take classes in social media. Do whatever you need to. But this industry doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And that's one of the fun things that we're constantly learning and changing. If you're doing the same makeup look you did 5 years ago, it's out of style now.
Right.
And what you need to project to get more work and more bookings is what is current right now. and futuristic on, you know, what's going on and what's happening.
Wow. Absolutely.
So if you don't know it, or if you can't do it, you hire somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not great at keeping books, so I have a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
I always have. It's
Yeah.
not my forte, and I know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there a kind of work that you see you getting more of? Like, is there a type of work, like a type of artist they need to be really skilled at?
Yes.
This is something you can work on and be better at, or et cetera.
So the clients that we attract is all lifestyle.
Okay. Tell people exactly what that.
So
what's that?
lifestyle is clean beauty makeup. It is a no makeup. And we do commercials. That's, like I said, our bread and butter. So a commercial, how they cast commercials is different today than it was 5 years ago. It's very multicultural. So your book needs to represent that you know how to do the palest skin to the very darkest skin.
Yeah.
You need different hair textures in there. So if you're in the commercial lane, then you need to be well versed on just exactly how to do anybody and everybody and be able to showcase that. But it's that's kind of the lane that we're in. There are print makeup artists, you don't work quite as much. There are makeup artists that do fashion shows. Again, you don't work as much in this region. If you want to go to East Coast, New York, Milan, something like that, then you will work all the time. But those, by doing the higher fashion, that allows you to get other jobs. And when a client looks at a book, when we submit an artist to a client to book them for a job, they will look at the diversity of the skin and the work, and they want very soft and natural. They also want to know that they can do something that's more demanding, is more glam, more higher impact with makeup. I booked a Adidas job a few years ago, and the hairstylist that I submitted was fantastic. This guy is a hair genius. I mean, he's the one that can do a hat with hair. He was amazing. And he was perfect for the job because he brought an assistant with him, or 2 assistants. And so I had hair and makeup artists on it. And the agency is like, I just don't really know, because it's just really soft soft hair. I just don't know if he can really. I'm like, he can do this. I know, because I
make a hat
he
with
can,
hair.
I know he can do this. And so finally I had to call the hairstylist. I said, please give me a photo of a ponytail. And we did it. I submitted. They're like, okay, we'll take him. I'm like, sometimes they're not visual like we are.
100%.
So you have to be ready to make sure that your portfolio is vast.
Yes.
So, and speaking of that, okay, so education versus portfolio. What do you feel like is most important when it comes to, like, in terms of, like, if they have been to school, if they're at, I don't know, I'm not going to say the wrong words, cosmetology?
Yeah.
Is that versus, just amazing portfolio.
Amazing portfolio.
Amazing portfolio.
But the difference is, and what I find, some Instagram artists are really good at doing their own makeup.
Yes.
But when it comes to somebody else, not so much. But they have beautiful images. And if somebody is only testing, where they can spend 3 hours on a makeup look, you're like, oh, this person's fabulous. You put them on a commercial. Okay, you've got 20 minutes for hair and makeup.
Right.
And they're like, I can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So they have to have a visual, beautiful portfolio to open the door, but they have to be able to produce once they arrive.
Yes.
And I never thought about, like, the difference between, I mean, you ladies, I'm sure have, but the difference between being able to do your own makeup awesome and doing someone else's.
Yeah.
I think that in creativity in general. So there is, like, a lot of people will say to me, like, oh, will you do my fashion? Will you be a shopper for me? And I'm like, I do my own. Like, I know me and I know how to do me, but I don't know about doing you. That's a whole nother thing. Like, I would have to really think about that. I would have to, like, strategize that. Like, I really have to work on that. Same thing with interior design. It's one thing to pick what you like.
Yeah.
And it's easy for you, and you're just, put it all together. Versus somebody comes and gives you, I'll never forget when I was doing interior design, one of my first jobs with a client, they wanted sunshine yellow walls with pine cabinets. And I was like, no, you can't do that. Like, that's
1970 what?
But that's what they wanted.
Wow.
And you have to deliver what they want, not what you think or your opinion, or, I mean, you can kindly say some other options and show and say, I think this would be better, that it's not your vision that you're delivering. It's their vision you're delivering.
And we're working for them.
That's right. Yeah.
It's not always, unless you're doing a test and you have control over the entire studio,
Right, which
the
is
photos.
totally different.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we're working for them. And so sometimes when a client, like a sportscaster, has an idea of, what they want, what looks good on them. And when they tell an artist, this is what I want, and the artist's like, no, I want to do it my way. Well, you know what? You're not going to be asked back.
That's right.
And I'll hear about it.
Oh, yeah.
We
Right.
follow up afterwards.
That's right.
You don't have to put it in
That's
your
right.
portfolio.
Yeah.
You can just do
I know.
the job,
Exactly. And that's
But again,
what
it's
I
the
said.
ego.
Yes.
It's like, no, it's not really. They're
Mhm.
paying you. This is a job, and you need to deliver what they're asking you to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think in creativity in general, so I think there's a lot more that goes into it. I think that's why I stick on the business side of things, that people as a whole, in whatever area of creativity that you're in, have to consider if you want to make it a career
Mhm. That's true.
versus a hobby. You just do it because it's fun for you,
Right.
and you like to do it.
That's true.
And I love that you offer an intern program, because it allows people to determine that very thing. You get to be selected by you and groomed by you and get on these real sets. And like you were telling us earlier, maybe you have to show up at 5 a.m. And maybe somebody's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't love it that much.
Yeah.
But you find out those things.
Exactly.
Maybe I only loved it when I got to do it for me and my friends.
Mhm.
I don't actually love it when you're asking me to do all these things that I don't agree with, or I don't like, or I'm not this or whatever.
Right.
It's not for everybody.
Right.
It's not for everybody.
Mhm.
But I think you provide opportunities that I think are really great. You have such a kind heart in how you cultivate your team and your culture and the delivery that you have.
Well, you know what? It's not really about me building a career. It's about me taking these people, giving them great opportunities to see how they flourish. I get so excited when I book a makeup artist on a fantastic national job. I'm like more excited than they are sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, you're going to do that. And that's going to be in your portfolio. We'll have that reel for our website. I mean,
Yes.
I absolutely love that. And I think that's part of bringing the younger generation in, is you find a good place that's a good fit for you, and you absorb the information, you grow from that, and really learn. And maybe you like, oh, maybe this is not what I want. Maybe I just want to do, photography where I have like set hours and it's a little easier, maybe in studio and not being on location starting at 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I have a booking tomorrow and I'm outside all day long.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a sweat fest. It's like, so it's not glamour like we think it is.
Yes.
It's not glamour at all.
That is so true too.
But it's very rewarding.
Yes.
If this is the place, if that's the dream that you have. And it's just like, if you can see it, you can be it. You have to work hard.
True.
You have to put in the time, get the experience, and you have to have grit, because it's not always easy.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I just am so thankful that you've come and sat with us and added value to our audience and shared with
Thank you.
everybody all the great wisdom from your career and things.
Our
and
crazy stuff that we
crazy
do.
Crazy
stories
stuff.
and all the fun things. So if people want to get a hold of you and connect with you, how do they do that?
You can go on our website, VCI Artist, or you can follow us on Instagram at vciartist.com.
Perfect.
Or actually, I think it's the other way around. But
Yeah.
our website, but it's all VCI Artist.
And we'll put all that in the description
Okay.
too. So
But we'd love to chat with people and, see if we can help you and, whatever we need to do, because we need to help others that are coming into the business to build it. And so it's a stronger industry.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sitting with us and sharing the wisdom.
Thank you very, very much for asking.
Yeah.
It's been such a pleasure.
It has been so great. I know our audience is just going to be thoroughly pleased with all the information that you've given. So I encourage everybody, reach out, connect with her and her agency. She'll message you back, get plugged in with what she has going on. She's doing great things here in the southern part of the region and also here locally in Texas. So thank you so much for that. And Kelly, it's always been great. So until then, we'll see you on Set Life.